wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Where you...
Good evening, folks. It's another episode of the Wookie Automotive Racing Rambling Podcast. It is I, the Wookie, and we are coming off of a Kansas week. Elimination race for the NASCAR playoffs. I'm drinking Mountain Dew for actually kind of fitting right now because Chase Elliott just got his third career win and second win in 3 races. Yeah, that kid's on a roll. How about that? Of course, we got some talking points with this being an elimination race. The Xfinity Series was a bit of a mess. Huge wreck on the start of the race. Took out a lot of the top teams, and it kind of was wide open. It was a 2-horse race, but opportunity was knocking, and we had some guys getting some really good finishes they weren't normally gotten. And then, of course, also this afternoon, we had a fantastic Formula One race with an old name, Baxter and Victory Lane. And then last night, we had V8 Supercars running Gold Coast, and a very controversial finish result and how they ran things. So we got plenty of talking to do and rambling and whatnot to go on for this week. So, first of all, let's get into the Cup race. This was Kansas. This was an elimination race. We had a lot of drivers after Talladega on the cusp of not making it. Couple of them were in must-win situations, most notably being Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson. And, of course, neither of them had won. But I was kind of busy today, so I didn't really get a good chance to follow this one. But I was kind of following it as the day went on. But anyways, right off the bat, we had people with issues. Timmy Hill, our 66 car, he blew an engine in practice and looks like another engine failure at the start of the race. Really unfortunate. We did not need that. And we tried doing our own engine deal this week, and apparently something's lacking. Something's not didn't have it figured out. Something's going on. We will be back to using PME motors next week at Martinsville, and so on. So anyways, that happened. And then also early in the race, Reed Sorensen had some issues. The bribery had tire issues early on. And then it turned into be something larger. He was in and out of the pit road a lot. And then Ross Chastain, kind of a controversial moment, lost his brakes. Brake rotor went through the hood, hit the wall. No caution came out. There was a lot of drivers complaining there was debris on track, but didn't throw the caution. And this is the day after we had a hood come off, actually Ross's car in the Xfinity race. Cars hit it, exploded everywhere, and they never threw the caution for debris for that. So, I don't know, not really agreeing with those calls, but of course I never saw the debris on track as I was sitting on my couch. But anyways, that was that. Or I was actually watching the F1 race at that point. But then our first caution came out lap 58. William Byron, the rookie for Hendrick Motorsports, lost an engine, blew up big time. Came out the bottom, looks like. And his day was done. He would finish out the bottom 3. And then it was kind of clean and green. Alex Bowman was trying to make some moves. Got into Jeffrey Earnhardt, got into the wall. But yeah, clean and green for a long while. Joe Logano looked like he dominated much of the race. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick were also up there. Harvick also led the second most laps at 76 to Logano's 100. And yeah, went clean and green. Other than the 2 stage breaks, we had some other guys fall out. Jeffrey Earnhardt with transmission issues. Reed Sorensen ended up falling out due to vibrations. Couldn't figure out what was going on with suspension in that one. And then Kyle Weatherman in the second star commentary fell out with suspension or with transmission issues as well. So, last run, we're getting, I guess Kurt Busch had a tire violation, and he couldn't get back on the lead lap. It just caution never came back out. Then, last set of pit stops, Kevin Harvick was I believe running second or third, but was too fast entering, had a penalty, ended up still finishing on the lead lap in 12th, but not where he was running most of the day. Actually, I think he was leading at that point. And then Joey Logano on the last set of stops he had issues too. Air hose got caught underneath the splitter for the front changer, held him up, and he ended up finishing 8th. But anyways, it kind of came down to a pretty good battle between Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Blaney kind of walled the car a little bit too much and fell back as a result. Kyle Larson had nothing he tried making some dive bomb moves, but ended up getting passed by the other Kyle Busch. And then Busch couldn't quite get to Chase at the end, and Chase ended up taking his 3rd career win, 3rd on the year, and extending his lead going into, punching himself into the next round. So, yeah, very popular win. I had the pretty good-looking Mountain Dew paint scheme on this week. That was that. Also, fun fact, Kyle Larson was sponsored by, both him and his teammate McMurray were sponsored by McDonald's. Apparently, McDonald's, as a sponsor, hasn't won a points-paying race since Jimmy Spencer at Talladega in 1994. Larson was 2 years old at the time. The more you know. But, thanks, Twitter. But, anyways, who gets eliminated? Let's kind of discuss who got eliminated after that. Alex Bowman. Yeah, he's been halfway decent this year, but he just hasn't really been championship worthy. And, of course, Chase has been running circles around him this year. Basically, it's really turned into Chase and the rest of Hendrick at this point. And then Kyle Larson, he's been they seem to have struggled this year with the new Chevy bodies, and just hasn't been able to put together wins, and just really struggled with the later half of these races this year. Almost like his first couple of years, and so he ended up falling out. Also falling out, Ryan Blaney. Notable is Brad Keselowski was the next one. Well, remember a month ago he went on that tear, winning 3 out of 4 races or something along like that? He's out. Just the team just kind of fell on their face in this round, and right now really looking at those Penske cars not being able to line up at Talladega to get around the Haas cars really bit him in the ass, as 2 of them got it eliminated here. Brad, probably the biggest name in the 4 that had fallen out, and of course Ryan Blaney. He had a fast top 5 car, but ended up fading late and falling out of that little transfer spot. Teammates Kurt Busch and Clint Bowyer moved on by the skin of their teeth by 6 points. Chase was already in because he had a win at Dover, but then got another win right now, so that's just padding out those bonus points. Martin Truex Jr. only 8 points ahead of the cutoff, and then it kind of spread out from there. Eric Almirola is technically 4th in points, but he's got the win at Talladega. Joey Logano, he was more than good. He was in on points. Kyle Busch was in on points. Kevin Harvick was in on points. Looking at the non-playoff stand, but as the guys falling out this there was the risk of Truex falling out, and I'm sure there would have been a lot of hubbub after that, but he's just kind of been off in these playoffs. He's just kind of been quietly pointing his way. Or he got that win, I believe, in the first round, but the second round, he just really hasn't been a factor. And then Keselowski's really been the real big surprise. Everyone thought when he went on that tear in September, he was really going to be a contender, but doesn't really seem to be the case. They just kind of went back to where they've been running most of the year, just quick, but not quick enough. Outclassed by the Haas cars and pit stops and such. So there was that. Looking at the non-playoff standings right now, Kyle Busch would sit on a 16-point lead over Kevin Harvick. And we look back at previous race points real quick. And Harvick only lost 4 points. But still, that's a pretty good, tight little battle right there. Now, the current points, not counting the wins and all that, stuff like that, and not the reset points, they don't got that up yet. Harvick would be 13 points over Kyle. But, yeah, this is really shaping up to would have been a really close, real talked about points battle this year. Truex would have faded 163 points back, and he's only 11 points ahead of Joey Logano and Kurt Busch. So, yeah, the battle for third is actually kind of shaping up pretty good. And then, of course, Clint Bowyer be 6, Brad Keselowski 7th, Larson, Blaney, and Chase Elliott. Now with his third win, moves in the top 10 points. So, anyways, that was Cup this week. Pretty tame race compared to yesterday's Xfinity race. And it's got off with a bang. First of all, we had 43 cars. Probably one of the biggest fields we've had in a long while. Going home, Max Tolman and a very good 26 car driving for his family team. They got some real good equipment. Was really fast in practice, but you may be fast, but if you don't got any points or no attempts, you got to make it through tech, and he didn't make it through tech, and that bit him. He went home. Morgan Shepherd went home, and then Bailey Curry in the JP Motorsports 55 went home. What bit them? They had to withdraw from Watkins Glen because they didn't have a spec radiator in the car. Yeah. Because road courses, road courses and short tracks were supposed to be running spec radiators in these cars. And yeah, it's been a rule for about 3 years now, and he did not have the proper equipment, and they had to withdraw it. So that bit them this weekend. So anyways, that of course got Harmon in the show. Harmon would have been out of the show if Chad Fincham would have been not made it out. Fincham in the 40 car, they barely made it through tech. There were a lot of cars that went through tech the second time around and barely didn't go out there. Harmon blew a radiator hose or blew all the water out of the car. Water down the racetrack, so they threw the caution. That allowed just enough time for Fincham to get out there. Qualified in the cutoff spot in 33rd, and that bumped the 55 out. And the 55 went home. Harmon got in on points. Yeah, qualifying itself was nuts. And then we got to the race. Race started, third place, Justin Allgaier. Got loose, wiggled coming out of turn 2. Got in the back of second place starter Christopher Bell. Bell spun, blocked the track, and the front half of the field proceeded to pile into him. A very hard crash. Austin Cindric got airborne. Again this year. What was that? 8 or 10 cars. It was a big wreck. Start of the race. Took out a lot of big names, of course. Bell, Allgaier, Cindric, Michael Annette. Logan also had damage. Harmon actually got a hole in his radiator, hit a piece of debris, went through his radiator ductwork. That was real unfortunate. Ross Chastain got into someone, had some damage on the car, and that would lead to his hood blowing off later during the race. Chase Briscoe got a lot of damage in the 98 car. Cole Custer got a lot of damage in the 00 car. I think BJ McLeod in the 01 got a lot of damage on the right front of his car, and it was just a whole mess of cars. Chad even had some damage off of that one. Someone got into the back of him and almost tore the rear bumper cover off the car, but luckily we were able to fix that. And then the 11 and Ryan Truex, he was right in the middle of that wreck too, and the car actually wasn't tore up, and he ended up only finishing 2 laps down on the 11th. So, crazy way to start the race. Then we took the green flag, took off, got to the backstretch. Brandon Jones got up next to Hemrick, wiggled sideways, hit the outside retaining wall hard, and hit the outside retaining wall into 3, ripped the right front off the car, and was done. Yeah. A lot of people were kind of calling out his talent for that, but all the drivers complaining the track still had a lot of speedy dry on it, seemed to be a lot of trash up there, and that's where he was running that extreme high line. So we kind of thought that he probably got into ran over a piece of debris or something. So then we went green again. And I wasn't on Chad's car this week. I was actually on the 66. Old Bobby Earnhardt driving that car. Actually did pretty good. Qualified really good. Qualified like 30th. Best career, really, for someone who's got really no experience in these cars. Really kind of impressed us with that qualifying effort. Struggled with the race setup a bit. The car was too tight on him. It plant and turn 2 struggled to turn through it. And we kind of fought that all race long. But anyways, we ran pretty well. Of course, the field was pretty weak at that point. But we hovered right around 20th place all day long until later in the race. So anyways, went green again. And then Spencer Gallagher, who was one I forgot, had damage from that first lap accident. Blew a right front tire on the front stretch and hit the outside retaining wall. And his day was done. Big news there. Gallagher announced that at the end of the year he was retiring from driving and taking up a managerial position at GMS Racing. Would have figured they probably would have had him in the Cup car or a GMS Cup car at some point because there's been the whole hubbub of whether or not they're buying BK or not. But apparently that was that. So, anyways. Then we got to the end of stage 1. Cleaning green. No real major issues. Then, also, the start of this race, just to show how crazy it was, the first starting part car was the 93 of Jeff Green, or the 37 of J.J. Yeley. He finished 35th. Just how nuts the start of this race was. So anyways, got to the end of the stage pretty good. Then we got going again for stage 2. And had about 10 laps into the run. Mexican driver, Jairo Avila Jr. or Junior Avila or J.A. Jr. He's got a little not Mexican. He's actually from Los Angeles. Mixing him up with somebody else. He drove for Rev Racing a little bit. But a couple years ago. But anyways, he recovered. Or he got into it with, I believe, the 0 at Garrett Smithley. Smithley got sideways, was able to save it. J.A., he spun out, brought up caution, green again. And then we got to the end of stage 1. And we thought everything was going to go all fine and dandy. And then Joey Gase racing Garrett Smithley for the lucky dog position. Was also getting passed by Ryan Preece in the 18. Well, Gase got into Smithley, turned Smithley, and they both went down into Preece, and Preece spun, hit the outside retaining wall, pretty much ruining his day. Bent the splitter bar bad on that car, and he struggled the rest of the day, and ended up finishing 11 laps down to 21st. That's kind of been Ryan's Xfinity season as second half of this year, after he got off that good start winning at Bristol. But anyways, then it went green for a while, and then about lap 137, we had the 66 car, Bobby Dale. Unfortunately, it shut off, brought him behind the wall. I was like, oh, this is strange. We're about 20 laps short of our fuel run. I chucked some fuel in it. Turnover, nothing. Pulled the airbox off, or squirted some fuel in the airbox. Kind of tried to pick it up a little bit, so we pulled the airbox off, poured some fuel down the bowls in the carburetor. Turnover. Tried starting, would not start. We think it was a fuel cable issue. Kind of unfortunate. He probably would have. He was out running the 45 car, Josh Bilicki, and Josh finished 20th. So, still, Bobby got a best career finish. Previously was 31st the year before here at Kansas. Hopefully, we're working on trying to get him. He's trying to get together a deal to race in the car at the next race at Texas. So, anyways, that became a battle between Daniel Hemrick, John Hunter Nemechek, and Elliott Sadler. And in the end, Nemechek got around Hemrick and just skedaddled on out of there. Ended up winning by 5 seconds over Hemrick. Nemechek kind of faced a lot of criticism after Ross Chastain won so quickly in that 42 car. Well, he got himself a win and won kind of handily. Now Hemrick's kind of facing kind of criticism because he still can't win. But anyways, good to see John Hunter, especially a place where his dad had a lot of success in. Remember, 14 years ago this weekend, his dad won both the Busch and the Cup races. So his dad had some good success at Kansas Speedway. So kind of a family deal for old John Hunter to visit Victory Lane 2. John Hunter, of course, winning over Daniel Hemrick, who started on pole, led most laps, but could not seal the deal once again. Elliott Sadler quietly in third. Looked like he may have something, but couldn't really do anything at the end. Shane Lee, the rookie part-timer for Childress, I believe best career finish in fourth. So good run for him. Yeah, first career top 5, so good run for him. Tyler Reddick finally scores a top 5. Another top 5. Good run for him. Matt Tiff 6th. Ryan Reed 7th. Ty Majeski in the 60 car. They did not wreck this week. Actually, Roush's Twitter was actually taking place in the fun. Like every time someone wrecked, we were like, the 60 car was not in it. So they're taking part in the fun. Yeah, just a horrific luck that 60 cars had this year. But hopefully, maybe after dodging that big one, they finally got that monkey off their back. Ninth place. Then we had some independent drivers. Ryan Sieg in 9th. Jeremy Clements started shotgun on the field after he couldn't make it through tech. Started last, finished 10th, only 1 lap down. Ryan Truex finished 11th. Rookie Alex Labbe finished 12th for Mario Gosselin. Very good run for him. Garrett Smithley finished 13th. Quinn Hofe in a rare Xfinity start, running for Johnny Davis. He finished 14th. Good run for him. Joey Gase 15th. Chad 16th. Second best finish of the year so far. Real good confidence booster. Got moved us up in a tie with the 45 car. So hopefully we can carry this momentum into Texas and try to gap the 45. David Starr 17th. J.A. Jr. Came back from that spin to finish 18th. Spencer Boyd 19th. And Josh Bilicki in 20th. So, crazy race for the Xfinity. Always seems to be the Xfinity races here at Kansas kind of tend to be some of the more entertaining ones out of the year. And this one was no exception. It was cold. It was windy. That was that. Also, ARCA finished up their last race of the year, and it was a wreck fest. Sheldon Creed came back from getting caught up with a lap car midway through the race, finished first. Of course, he clinched the championship just by participating in practice. Harrison Burton finished second. Michael Self got caught up in some incidences there, but he finished third. Venturini, Riley Herbst finishing fourth. He's consensus. He's probably gonna be in the Truck Series next year, in like a KBM entry. Chase Purdy in fifth. He's running Martinsville next week in the truck, making his debut for MDM, his K&N team. Natalie Decker, kind of a disappointing season she's had, 6th. How about old Tyler Hill, Timmy's brother, younger brother? Stayed out of trouble, finished 7th on the lead lap. Came back from a spin at the start. They made a big spring change, and it apparently car didn't respond like he liked to spawn, but came back to finish 7th. Good for Timmy. Good for Andy Hillenberg. Drew Herron started on pole, kind of dominated. Got caught up in a spin later in the race, fell back to 8th. Zach Ralston running a steel body car, old DEI car. His car fielded by Andy Hillenberg, old SB2 engine. Finished 9th on the lead lap. Good run for him. Cole Glasson, late model driver, making his debut for Sawinski in Wintron in a second entry. Finished 10th. And Eric Cottle, running for Hickson Motorsports. They went into a part-time role this year. Finished 11th. Everyone was not really would have expected that out of Hickson. Especially where they've been at this year. But good run for them. But yeah, and then the rest of it was just kind of a wreck fest. Todd Gilliland blew a tire, hit the outside retaining wall. He was pretty quick. Joe Graff got into with Travis Braden, caused a wreck. Of course, the 68 Kevin Hinkle got into Creed, fell out because of a wreck. And then Riley Herbst turned Gus Dean, got into a big wreck with Zane Smith. But yeah, kind of a wreck fest. But also announced on Friday is that ARCA will be returning to Five Flags Speedway. I believe they haven't been there since the 90s, mid-90s. Takes place a couple weeks after Daytona. Kind of fills in with the role that Mobile used to play. I think this will be a pretty good event. Of course, Five Flags, home of the Snowball Derby. Probably right now the biggest late model event of the year. Mostly because it's like the only racing going on in December. But real good place to, real good short track. Of course, K&N raced there up until about this year, I believe. So, and of course, with them being in ARCA next year, 2020, I'll put a good bet they'll be on one of the schedules. So that was that. V8 Supercars was at the Gold Coast for their Gold Coast 600. It was had some wrecks. First race, Chaz Mostert, James Moffitt won. Chaz's first win this year. Craig Lowndes finished second. And then the second race, stuff happened. And then So, they don't got any results pulled up. Basically, what had happened was the rain was coming. They started the race at 4:30 in the afternoon. I guess everyone knew the rain was coming. Pretty much a monsoon came in about 30 laps in, or 25 laps in. And then a big wreck happened. They cleaned it up and ran around under caution for a few laps. And ended up having to red flag it because it was monsoon conditions. You couldn't see. And then they sat there, running out of daylight, so they called the event. So that kind of led to a lot of the drivers getting into it. Speaking up, and fans, like, we knew this rain was coming. Why couldn't we move the start up at least an hour? Could have at least gotten to halfway and possibly. I'm not exactly sure what their procedures are for red flagged races, but yeah, I want to say they go halfway, but. See if I can bring up any championship. Gold Coast 600. Bear with me for a minute, and I don't believe they got it out yet. No, they don't got that. So, but yeah, a lot of big question marks for how they ran that. They ran it as an abandoned race. And, of course, I'm clicking on it, and that's a dead link. So, yeah. And then there was also a lot of question marks of why couldn't you delay the day. But I guess they got some monsoon conditions going on right now. But, yeah, it ended up being a canceled event, abandoned. It'll be a footnote over in the history of Robbins Racing. Let's see. They got, or not Robbins Racing, Racing Reference. They got a canceled race section. So this will go next to the 1956 Grand National Race Number 7, which was canceled due to dust conditions. The 1999 IRL Visionaire 500 at Charlotte was canceled due to the deaths of some fans due to debris going into the grandstands. And, of course, the 2011 Verizon IndyCar World Championships at Las Vegas, which was canceled due to the death of Dan Weldon. But, anyways, let's move on for that and get into Formula One. A little much lighter note. And how about old Kimi Räikkönen finally getting back in victory lane? Been since 2013. Broke the record for the longest dry spell broken by a driver. And we got a freeze advisory this morning, or for tonight. Great. But Kimi with the win. Started on pole, kind of went back and forth with Lewis Hamilton, and actually just kind of played into the strategy a lot better than Hamilton. Everyone thought that Hamilton was going to probably get the strategy, his two-stop strategy was probably going to work, but it didn't work in his favor. Kimi ended up winning over Max Verstappen. Hamilton tried getting around Verstappen at the end, but got wide. Ended up finishing third. If he made it up to second, he would have clinched the championship. Vettel actually got around Bottas on the last lap. Bottas went wide and actually closed the margin, helped close the margin a little bit. The championship moves on to Mexico. Hamilton just has to finish 7th to clinch that championship. But anyways, Raikkonen wins. Verstappen finishes 2nd. Hamilton's 3rd on the podium after starting on pole. I don't know why I said Raikkonen's. It was a close margin for the pole anyways. Vettel came back from the first lap spin again, finished 4th. Bottas 5th. And then, how about the Renault drivers? Nico Hulkenberg, Carlos Sainz, 6th and 7th. Esteban Ocon in 8th. Kevin Magnussen, 9th. And Sergio Perez in 10th. I kind of had a bunch of wrecks going on at the start of the race. Like 3 or 4 different instances between the Vettel deal. Fernando Alonso got into it with Lance Stroll. Took him out. Romain Grosjean spun Charles Leclerc and actually damaged Romain's car enough, broke a wishbone, so he had to fall out, and that was it. And then Daniel Ricciardo, I think he was running 3rd, ended up having to fall out due to a battery issue. That actually brought out the only virtual safety car or safety car of any kind for the race. But very, very entertaining race. The track hasn't really been known, Circuit of the Americas in Austin hasn't really been known for exciting races, but for an F1 race, this one had you on your edge of your seat the entire time, and it just feel good story just to see Kimi Räikkönen definitely on the tail end of his career, with him going to Sauber next year, getting replaced by Charles Leclerc. So we probably saw Kimi's last win. Of course, he'll probably make me eat my words, and he'll probably go on to win at Mexico and Brazil and Abu Dhabi. But anyways, fantastic win. Okay. But anyways, sorry I'm distracted, but apparently David Land got himself into some Twitter shenanigans. And of course one guy called him an incel. Because that's the first thing you go to. Yeah, basically this young early 20s, late teens girl at the Cup race made a Twitter post, one like, and I'll punch these 2 kids, and it was like 2 really young kids, like probably 8 and 6, and wearing Kyle Busch gear. Ha ha ha! Funny joke. You're threatening to punch little kids, and David shared it. Say, that's pretty much say what the fuck. Not really a good, not really good taste there. And of course, Twitter went crazy because it's David Land. He's a real polarizing figure. But yeah, people are going nuts at him, and apparently now this girl's saying that she's getting death threats because he won't drop it, blah blah blah. She won't drop it too. It's been going on, and it's just nuts. And apparently, it's escalated to, yeah, this is just nuts. So, anyways, let's get back on topic and get off Twitter and YouTube drama. Yeah, F1 race was great. Xfinity race was great. V8 supercars, I'm sure the first race was good. The second race probably wasn't pretty good until it had to end early. And I don't know why they're starting that race at 4:30 in the afternoon. And Cup race was all right for being clean. Very clean race compared to what we had in the ARCA and Xfinity races. But, hey, we had a Chase Elliott. He's on a roll. And he's probably locked himself into, he's probably going to be a contender for years to come now. He's definitely the best Hendrick car right now. And he's the only one moving on in the chase. And he's on a roll. He's won 3 races since late August. Or since August. Sometime then. I don't know. I'm tripping over my words. So, I want to finish that up. And, man, it's been an eventful day. So anyways, what we got coming up next? Martinsville's coming up next for a Cup and Truck Series. I believe first race of the second to last round for Trucks and Cup. Xfinity just started their round, but they won't race until Texas. Truck Series. Right now, Johnny Sauter holds looks like 15-point lead over Brett Moffitt. Noah Gregson's 17 points back. Grant Envinger is 24 points back. And Justin Haley is 26 points back. And then rounding up the remaining of their chase, because they only got 6 in this round, Matt Crafton's all the way 39 points back. He needs a win, pretty much. He's in a must-win situation already because of his he got caught up in the big one, and he was pretty much, yeah. But anyways, move on from that. Also Saturday, the Cannon West Series finishes out their season at the Kern County Raceway Park. Fantastic. I'll sing the praises of this place. Fantastic half mile over in Bakersfield, California. This is a place that's kind of in contentions to get a truck race in the future. So, just world-class short track. Derek Thorne pretty much has this locked down. He has a 26-point lead over Cole Rouse, and he's going to lock it up once the race starts. And then Ryan Partridge is 29 points back, and then everyone else is eliminated. Derek Krause is in fourth in points. Haley Deegan, she was announced this week as the Racing Reference Rising Star of the Year. She won they had that fan poll on the website. Kind of real deserving. She's really coming to her own. She's got that win at up in Idaho. She's going places. You'll probably see her in a part-time ARCA and truck schedule next year. Probably in either a KBM or a Gilliland truck. That's just my prediction where she'll be at. Trevor Huddleston is currently 6th. Cody Vanderwall, 7th in points. Matt Levine, 8th. Takuma Koga in 9th. And Todd Souza in 10th. Oh, Mexican Series race today, but the results aren't out, so I don't know what's going on. And then, the Whalen Euro Series finished up today at Circuit Zolder. Alonde is your champion once again. He won the race and the championship. Second straight year he has won. He's really working hard trying to find sponsorship to race in America. So all the power to him. And then I believe Mexico is next week for F1. So look at Mexico City is next Sunday for the Mexican Grand Prix. V8 Supercars, I believe, is off. So look at that. Yeah, they are off a week. They got 2 more rounds, 4 races, because they do 2 race events. Cars, late model and super late model, they're off for 1 more week before they finish this year out in South Boston. Oh, and PASS was supposed to have their short track nationals at Richmond, and that got delayed due to weather. So that is pretty much what we got in the racing world. What we got going on the channel. That was a loud truck that just went by the house. basically we got the podcast and maybe a bonus video. Just now getting started on the next Wookie Drives, so it'll probably be another week if I get that out. I really don't know if I'm going to be in Martinsville or not, helping with the cup car or even a truck. I got a lot to do at the house, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be on the road or not next week. I would like to have the weekend off before we go out west, but I don't know. But I'll try to have another little bonus video out this week, other than the podcast. And then I'll try to hopefully aim for sometime next week will be the next Wookie Drives. So that's pretty much a podcast for this week. Covered a lot of ground this week. Not so much rambling, actually stayed on topic for the most part. It's pretty rare for me. But anyways, this has kind of been a short one, but this has been a podcast. Now I'll quit rambling, as I've talked about. I haven't been rambling, and now I am. So I'm going to end this. Goodbye.
For the truly local news, give it 5. Channel 5. And when the world is changing right before my eyes, give it 5. Give it push my way. All the games we play, give it 5. Channel 5, give it 5. For the weather you can count on, give it 5. Channel 5. With view net and weather school, the weather comes alive. We share a laugh, we share a tear, the one you turn to through the years. Give it 5, Channel 5, give me 5, yeah. Channel 5 CBS. I'm bringing you the very best. WAPI-TV. I'm part of our community, coming to our hometown, touching you, touching me. Welcome home to an old friend. Give me 5, Channel 5. Won't you say, spend the day in an American night. Proud to serve in name, that will never change. Give me 5, Channel 5, give me 5. Oh, give me 5, Channel 5, give me 5.